Remember that debate during the pandemic? On the left, they were saying, Trump and Joe Rogan took it. It must be for animals. Okay, it won the Nobel Prize in 2015 for what it did for humans. But whatever, the point is, it's a drug. It's not a politician. Drugs don't have political parties. Although I do suspect Xanax is a Democrat. What good is liberalism if you don't win elections? Last week, Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton said, I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. Yes, there's the problem in a nutshell. Because Congressman Moulton sounds reasonable to me, but his campaign manager immediately resigned in protest. Let me make this as plain as I can to the smart people. The campaign manager who resigned, yeah, let that person go.
If you ever want to know how chaotic modern politics has become, just look at what the Democrats managed to do to themselves. I mean, seriously, these people could be handed a winning lottery ticket and still somehow walk away bankrupt. They'd blame the scratch-off for not being inclusive enough. And nobody calls them out better than Bill Maher. The man's been on TV for decades, has seen every political trend, every meltdown, every panic cycle, and somehow liberals still act shocked every time he tells them the obvious. Stop being insane. At this point, it's like yelling at a pothole. It might feel good, but it's not fixing anything.
Crazy, shallow way to make decisions that we all do too much. A new book by David Zweig called An Abundance of Caution about the repercussions from keeping the schools closed so long during the pandemic has garnered a lot of attention. And here's the author's takeaway line. The American Academy of Pediatrics were very strongly in favor of getting kids into schools, but as soon as Trump came out in favor of reopening, they completely reversed their position. Hey, if you find yourself suddenly hating something you loved 5 minutes ago, or vice versa, ask your doctor if ivermectin is right for you.
Take the pandemic debates, for example. Remember when certain Democrats decided that if someone took a medication they didn't like, it must be because that person was secretly plotting to overthrow the CDC with a barnyard animal? Because apparently, in their minds, every drug that isn't made of kale and tears of social justice warriors must be for cows, horses, or Republican uncles. Maher put it perfectly. It's a drug, not a politician. Drugs don't have political parties. Though honestly, if Xanax ever ran for office, it would absolutely run as a Democrat calming everyone down, doing nothing about the root issues. Yeah, that's on brand, but this is where the comedy ends and the roast begins, because Maher's frustration is real. He's been warning Democrats for years. You can't win elections if your entire strategy is built on scolding the American public like a humorless substitute teacher. You have to actually solve problems, or at least pretend to convincingly. Instead, what do? They attack their own people for saying basic common sense things. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton says he doesn't want his daughters steamrolled in sports by athletes who were formerly male, and suddenly his campaign manager resigns in protest. As if he just suggested they ban recycling, Maher didn't even have to joke about it. Reality did the comedy for him. Because honestly, if your campaign manager quits because you expressed a reasonable opinion that 80% of the country agrees with, you don't need a resignation letter, you need a therapist. Preferably one that doesn't charge by the triggered hour. And this is the heart of Maher's rant. Democrats are hemorrhaging voters because they're obsessed with being the moral hall monitors of the universe. They treat every issue not like adults solving problems, but like teenagers competing for who can post the most self-righteous TikTok. It's not politics anymore. It's performance art. Maher roasted them hard over the electric car flip-flop too. When a certain tech billionaire was considered a liberal darling, Democrats praised EVs like they were sacred relics. Electric cars are the future, they screamed. Save the planet, save the whales, save the ice caps. Then the billionaire stopped towing the approved ideological line, and suddenly electric vehicles became problematic. Overpriced appliances of doom, rolling symbols of betrayal, cancel-worthy sedans. It's like watching people break up with their car. And Maher didn't hold back. People don't care about facts. They care about which team is delivering the facts. If your team says it, it's righteous. If the other team says it, it's fascism. No thinking, no nuance, no logic, just vibes, dumb vibes. Speaking of vibes, let's talk about the school closures. Maher highlighted a book showing that the American Academy of Pediatrics fully supported getting kids back to school, until someone they didn't like said the same thing. Then, poof, their position did a magical disappearing act. Overnight. No new science, no new data, just politics dressed up in a lab coat. Maher joked that if you suddenly hate something you loved 5 minutes ago, maybe ask your doctor if reality is right for you. Because the flip-flopping wasn't about safety, it wasn't about children. It was about making sure the other side didn't get credit. Meanwhile, families across the country were juggling Zoom school, melting down in kitchens, and Googling how to teach third-grade math without crying. The Democrats didn't hurt their enemies. They hurt the country. And Maher said it bluntly. Then comes my favorite part of Maher's rant, the Democrats' obsession with labeling everything they dislike as morally evil. Take the Joe Rogan situation. He took a drug approved for humans decades ago, but the left decided it was horse paste because it made for a dramatic headline, because nothing says responsible journalism, like screaming farm animal conspiracy theories into a camera. Maher pointed out that none of this is about science, it's tribalism. If someone isn't parroting your exact script, you slap a scarlet letter on them and banish them to the cornfield. Even if 5 minutes ago you were calling them a hero, then Maher roasted the Democrats so badly they probably needed aloe. He compared them to Xanax not just because of the sleepiness, but because they soothe people into complacency without solving anything. They help everyone cope, while the actual issues rot under the surface like a forgotten Tupperware in the back of the fridge. But the really devastating part? Maher said liberals lost because they abandoned the issues that voters actually care about: cost of living, safety, education, sanity. Instead, they chased fringe causes like they were collecting Pokemon cards. Every time someone spoke a basic rational thought, boom, cancellation. Their own people, cannibalizing their own party faster than Uber Eats could deliver the tofu. And then, history. Maher ripped into the trend of judging historical figures with modern standards. He called it presentism, which is a polite academic term for having no clue how time works. He mocked the idea of canceling people who lived 300 years ago for not having 21st century opinions. He compared it to being mad at your childhood self for eating dirt or wanting to be a ghostbuster. Or worse, trying to breakdance despite being very, very white. Maher's point is simple. Humans evolve. Society evolves. If you go back far enough, everyone is problematic because they didn't know what we know now, because the world was different, because the past is, well, the past. But Democrats, at least the loudest ones, want to rewrite history textbooks like they're editing a fan fiction blog. They want to delete context, erase nuance, and pretend moral perfection is possible. Spoiler alert, it's not. And Maher ended with a gut punch. He's furious at Democrats because the issues he cared about, democracy, climate, basic sanity, are now leaderless. There's no one defending them, no one trustworthy, because the people who should have protected those causes got lost in ideological narcissism and social media cosplay. Maher said it clearly, Democrats blew it. They lost everything, not because the other side was smart, but because they themselves were catastrophically dumb. And the saddest, funniest, most tragic part? The voters leaving aren't extremists. They're moderates, regular people who can't handle the circus anymore, people who signed up for progress, not purity tests, pronoun battles, and Twitter revolutions. Maher's message is brutal but necessary. Stop being allergic to common sense. Stop scolding the country into oblivion. Stop losing because you're afraid to be normal. America doesn't want a performance. It wants reality back. And that is the roast.